the clouds lifted, and I saw a mile or two away a most extraordinary mountain, on the lower slopes of which grew a dense forest. Its upper part, which was of bare rock, looked exactly like the seated figure of a grotesque person with the chin resting on the breast. There was the head, there were the arms, there were the knees; indeed the whole mass of it reminded me strongly of the effigy of Zikali which was tied about my neck, or rather of Zikali himself. "What is that called?" I said to Hans, pointing to this strange hill, now blazing in the angry fire of the setting sun that had burst out between the storm clouds, which made it appear more ominous than even then before. "That is the Witch Mountain, Baas, where the chief Umslopogaas and a blood brother of his who carried a great club used to hunt with the wolves. It is haunted, and in a cave at the top of it lie the bones of Nada the Lily, the fair woman whose name is a song, she who was the love of Umslopogaas." For the story of Umslopogaas and Nada, see the book called Nada the Lily. Rubbish, I said, though I had heard something of all that story, and remembered that Zikali had mentioned this Nada, comparing her beauty to that of another whom once I knew. "Where then lives the chief Umslopogaas?" "They say that his town is yonder on the plain, Baas. It is called the Place of the Axe and is strongly fortified with a river round most of it, and his people are the people of the Axe. They are a fierce people, and all the country round here is uninhabited because Umslopogaas has cleaned out the tribes who used to live in it, first with his wolves and afterwards in war. He is so strong a chief and so terrible in battle that even Chaka himself was afraid of him, and they say that he brought Dingaan the king to his end because of a quarrel about this Nada. Cetywayo, the present king, too leaves him alone, and to him he pays no tribute." Whilst I was about to ask Hans from whom he had collected all this information, suddenly I heard sounds and looking up, saw three tall men clad in full herald's dress rushing towards us at great speed. "Here come some chips from the Axe," said Hans, and promptly bolted into the waggon. I did not bolt because there was no time to do so without loss of dignity, but although I wished I had my rifle with me, just sat still upon my stool, and with great deliberation lighted my pipe, taking not the slightest notice of the three savage looking fellows. These, who I noted carried axes instead of assegais, rushed straight at me with the axes raised in such a fashion that anyone unacquainted with the habits of Zulu warriors of the old school might have thought that they intended nothing short of murder. As I expected, however, within about 6 feet of me they halted suddenly and stood there still as statues. For my part I went on lighting my pipe as though I did not see them, and when at length I was obliged to lift my head, surveyed them with an air of mild interest. Then I took a little book out of my pocket, it was my favourite copy of the Ingoldsby Legends, and began to read. The passage which caught my eye, if axe be substituted for knife, was not inappropriate. It was from the nurse's story and runs: "But oh! what a thing 'tis to see and to know that the bare knife is raised in the hand of the foe, without hope to repel or to ward off the blow." This proceeding of mine astonished them a good deal, who felt that they had, so to speak, missed fire. At last the soldier in the middle said, "Are you blind, white man?" "No, black fellow," I answered, "but I am short sighted. Would you be so good as to stand out of my light?" A remark which puzzled them so much that all three drew back a few paces. When I had read a little further, I came to the following lines: "'Tis plain, as astronomists tell us, that never again Shall life revisit the fully slain, when once they've been cut through the jugular vein." In my circumstances at that moment this statement seemed altogether too suggestive, so I shut up the book and remarked, "If you are wanderers who want food, as I judge by your being so thin, I am sorry that I have little meat. but my servants will give you what they can." "Oh," said the spokesman, "he calls us wanderers. Either he must be a very great man or he is mad." "You are right. I am a great man," I answered, yawning, "and if you trouble me too much you will see that I can be mad also. Now what do you want?" "We are messengers from the great chief Umslopogaas, Captain of the People of the Axe, and we want tribute," answered the man in a somewhat changed tone. "Do you? Then you won't get it. I thought that only the King of Zululand had a right to tribute, and your captain's name is not Cetywayo, is it?" "Our captain is king here," said the man still more uncertainly. "Is he indeed? Then away with you, back to him, and tell this king of whom I have never heard, though I have a message for a certain Umslopogaas, that Macumazahn, Watcher by Night, intends to visit him tomorrow, if he will send a guide at the first light to show the best path for the waggon." "Hearken," said the man to his companions, "this is Macumazahn himself and no other. Well, we thought it, for who else would have dared—" Then they saluted with their axes, calling me chief, and other fine names, and departed as they had come, at a run, calling out that my message should be delivered and that doubtless Umslopogaas would send the guide. So it came about that, quite contrary to my intention, after all, circumstances brought me to the town of the Axe. Even to the last moment I had not meant to go there, but when the tribute was demanded, I saw that it was best to do so, and having once passed my word it could not be altered. Indeed, I felt sure that in this event there would be trouble, and that my oxen would be stolen, or worse. So, fate having issued its decree, of which Hans' version was that Zikali or his Great Medicine had so arranged things, I shrugged my shoulders and waited. End of chapter 2 of H. Rider Haggard, She and Allan. Read by Lars Rolander.